Hi there. Thanks a lot for staying with us here on the show. And it's time for our next conversation. And we're talking a big interview this morning. And I have a very honorable man here with me in the studio. This man has done great for himself and for the community where he represents. And it's a good time to actually have this conversation with him. So yes, in the studio with me this morning is Sheikh Armiyawo Shaibu. He is the spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. He's a Muslim cleric, educationist, and of course, like I said, an official spokesperson for the National Chief Imam. And it's good to have him here in studio to have a conversation. A very, very, very big thank you to you for making time for us this morning. I hope you're good.
It's my pleasure and honor to be invited to come to your platform, very important platform, to share some reflections on matters that border on our well-being as a people and as a human race and the world at large.
Great. Earlier I was speaking about your achievement and the things that you've done for yourself and where you are right now. You spent over 2 decades, as a professional educationist, a teacher, someone who's impacted in society and all of that. How did all of these actually shape your life as a Muslim leader?
Thank you so much for this question. And the human life is shaped by so many factors. And as a human being, or a member of a community, for example, your education, your family background, some mentors, even friends and work experiences, all these contribute to the shaping, and your culture and tradition, you all contribute in shaping you as to what you become. I was born into a very religious, family. My father happens to be a Muslim cleric, and indeed his vision was for me to grow as a Muslim cleric.
Okay, and you achieved that for him.
Yes, and so even from education, we had what we call the elementary education with the Form 4 system. After that, my father was not enthused about Western formal education. He was not enthused. So because of that, I remained in the house for almost about 6 years before destiny got me into the teaching profession. So I didn't even get a chance to go to the secondary school, or what today we call the SHS. So destiny got me into the teaching profession. So I attended the Superior Training College, and I trained as a teacher. And indeed, I must say to you, I have not regretted being a teacher. Among all professions in the world, the one that I am proud of and I want to be called
any day.
I don't care about any other thing that somebody will call me.
Yeah.
But if you call me a teacher, I get excited.
Wow.
Because teachers, we shape lives. We nurture. We guide. We inspire. We mentor. Indeed, what members of the community will become depends on us as teachers. As teachers, we stand at the confluence of old understanding and new understanding. Any new idea, any new thing, any new knowledge that comes that so is relevant for human progress. Teachers, we stand at the confluence of that. And so we are transmitters of knowledge. In fact, we just don't transmit knowledge, but we nurture and guide and assist human beings to unearth the fullest given potential which God has given, because God made us for a purpose, and every single individual has a certain destiny. Natural, unless if the person himself deviates, but there is something good in every single individual. Is the teacher that works and assists the individual to realize those hidden potentials so as a potential, that is a certain hidden, untapped energy and strength, constructive given from God, which lays down, waiting for it to be tapped. So that which assists, or the process to assist the individual to realize this, not just to realize, but to tap into it to his own advantage and the advantage of the totality of human race. And that's the work of the teacher. Awesome. The teacher. That's why I'm personally, I'm proud that you can call me any other thing, but the one that makes me excited, you say that.
You can call a teacher.
I'm a teacher.
Awesome. But of course, by extension, You are the mouthpiece of one of the most respected human beings in West Africa, if not the entire Africa. And that also means that your statement and whatever you say out there has to be very accurate and all that. How does this also impact on the society and the environment where you are in terms of the people you serve?
I mean, great. It's also one dimension of the potential God gave me, and also probably created opportunity for me to come to close and intimate relationship with such a great man.
Yeah.
Who for us, he also a teacher, a guide, a mentor, and moral inspiration and spiritual inspiration for us. For over the past decade, I have been close to the National Chief Imam as his spokesperson. And what I do is to try to understand what he intends to communicate and fashion it in a language that is most intelligible and understandable to the larger community listeners who may not necessarily be Muslims, but need to understand the core message that he wants to give. And then also I do also translate to him what others communicate. He did not receive my type of training in terms of the formal education, so he doesn't communicate in English. And so I also have to now translate to him what others have said. So he, in a language that is most understandable to him, because he's a very traditional Islamic cleric, and an elderly person also. So when I translate for him in the best manner that he understands, then he can also communicate back. And sometimes, in fact, I just listen to him, and when I have translated and he gets the message, then he himself will decide exactly how he wants to respond to it. Because his residence has been a destination of so much of the courtesy calls, from the diplomatic, space, to state institutions, to politicians, to CSOs, to researchers, and so on and so forth, having heard about his contribution into society. And so there is a desire to want to understand what is it that has given him that ability to be able to make some of these achievements. So it's been a very wonderful experience for me, and also a blessing. And also, if you like, call it, because I'm still a student of knowledge and still learning. And so once I translate for him, he transmits to me something and give me a certain understanding, even including interpretations that what I will interpret would have been different from the way he will interpret it. And because he belongs to, the Chief Imam belongs to one dimension of Islam, and we call it Tijaniya. Okay. The Tijaniya is one of the very prominent and dominant Islamic mystical confraternities. That's how we call them in English. And for those who belong to that orientation, their interpretation need to be well understood, because they are highly spiritual. And they need to be understood. Even when they don't speak, how they sit, how they look at you. You should be able, transmit a certain message for you. And so it has been a very exciting learning experience, and also a proud kind of role that I'm playing. I feel blessed, and I feel proud that I'm close to such a person. Also a very humbling kind of role, because I sit at his feet. Whenever people come to him, I just sit down at his feet. I never sit on a chair like this in his presence, and for me that is humbling. In life, you need to be able to understand your relationship with God and how you relate to others, and how you see yourself shapes the way you look at others. And so in our religion, we are taught to be humble. To be humble is to respect everybody by whatever status he has. Never to feel and to construe yourself as superior to anybody, regardless of, you can be the king, you can be the prime minister, you can be the president. You are just a limited human being. when those trappings of power are taken or titles are taken away from you, you become as ordinary as any other person. And you must be conscious of that. And so therefore, when you see anybody, it can be a child, it can be even your slave, if you like, in those days. Yeah. Now we don't want to talk about slaves. Yeah, it can be a subordinate, if you like. Yeah, he's subordinate by the role that he is playing. But in terms of humanity, there's no difference between you. So the Chief Imam likes quoting the Holy Quran that God created us from a single male and a female and made us into races and tribes that we may know each other, and that the most honorable and superior in the sight of God among you are those who are most pious, those who are more mindful of his laws in our lives. So superiority by this text is measured by how pious you are, by how obedient, how mindful you are about what God has asked you to do in life, the do's and the don'ts, and how you relate to others, the ethics and the morality he has given us to be able to relate and be a contributor to life in a world where God has made things available to us sufficient enough to cater for the billions of humanity in the world, but chose you as his doorway to reach out to those who by his own design had decided to put them at a certain disadvantage, because he wants you to be the doorway by which they benefit from God's mercy. So when you have knowledge, you are a transmitter of knowledge, it's not for you. I mean, if you're a teacher and you don't teach, I mean, what is the use of it?
Interesting. So you have also worked closely with the Christian Council and the Bishop and Catholics and all
yes.
that. In your opinion, what do you think has been the secret or the ingredient that has been able to put different faith together, all these years?
I mean, interesting question. In the time that I became the Chief Imam spokesperson, in fact, that energy, got intensified because of the Chief Imam's own approach to matters of interfaith. Yeah. But before that, my own training, academic training at the university, I studied religions and psychology. But what is most exciting for me, because most of the things that I do now is more within the religious space.
Yeah.
Yes. There are certain basic courses. In fact, I will strongly recommend to any religious activists, in other words, frontline religious activists like myself, where you find yourself, you're in the front line and using faith to engage with people and encourage and teach and so on and so forth. I will encourage that those courses, even if it's not within the university, but within some of the training that we have. We study the philosophy of religions, and then we study the phenomenology of religions, then the comparative study of religion and the variety of mankind's religion. These are basic courses that when you study religions at the University of Ghana, you have to they are basic, or you have to study them before you branch off either to study Islam or study Christianity And so in comparative study, for example, you are exposed to different religions of the world. And sometimes you appreciate the value and the reason and the philosophies, the spirituality. For example, if you are introduced to Buddhism, for example, you hear some of the Gautama Buddha and how the experience he went through to discover what he called the Four Noble Truths, for example. You will realize that there is something that you can pick from that, and something that relates to your own faith. If you study the Christianity, for example, and you will notice that if you take the 10 Commandments, for example, and you notice that apart from the first commandment, which has to do with what we do between us and God, the next one, which is most important, is how we treat relationships with people. That love thy neighbor as thyself. And if you come to Islam, I mean, the same thing. Even our greetings, for example, when we in the morning we greet in peace, assalamu alaikum, and may the peace, you know. So a kind of salutation, a greeting, but also the best of wishes and prayer. May the peace of God be upon you. Yeah. So I cannot wish you peace and still draw a dagger.
So then I'm sure that you're one of the people who will be very worried about the current situations that we are facing in terms of humans. If you're looking at the war that is ongoing, and also in South Africa, there's a phobic attacks that is ongoing right now. You should be extremely worried.
Extremely worried. I worry about any war, conflict that happens in the world leading to the destruction of life. It doesn't matter whether it's happening in Europe, or in Africa, or in Asia. Because you notice that what I said, the Chief Imam repeatedly quotes the Quran that he made us into races and tribes, but that he traced us to our common source. So I created you from a male and a female. So the Chief Imam says that it means we trace our origin to a common source and two human progenitors. So it means there is something that runs through all the races, common, that makes us common, and that's our common humanity. So it doesn't matter if the European dies, or the European is bombed, or an Arab is bombed, or an African is bombed. Like what is happening in South Africa, for example. It doesn't matter, it's happening to a Ghanaian or a Nigerian. It is wrong, as it is wrong when it happens to a European. I wouldn't like to see a European, because it's in my country, that xenophobic, feeling about me, I attack him and kill him just because he belonged to a certain race. Look, the world, God was good in his intention to create us and put us on this plane. But he called, in the Quran, he uses figurative language called the earth, he called it mahad. Mahad means a carpet or a spread that gives comfort. He talks that I provided for you water. He talks about give you the trees so that for your enjoyment and that of your cattle. God meant good for us, but he made us as humans. In Islam, the position of the human being in nature is that he is the vicegerent of God. Or to bring it down, is the representative of God on earth. Just like in Christianity, you might say that let's just create a man in
the image of God.
So if you take the image figuratively and you connect it to what we say as God, now we as humans, representatives, it means we imbibe from God certain authority and certain ability, certain attributes that makes us worthy of our survival on this earth as God's representatives. And the spirit that creates never destroys. The spirit that creates beauty does not destroy. So God has made it so in order we can contribute constructively and manage this earth to the advantage and benefit of all other, in fact, including even infrahumans. That is why when you don't need the animal to eat, you don't kill it. Yes, there is a story of the Prophet, peace be upon him, who told us that a certain woman entered the paradise because of a dog. Because of a dog. Using the word dog, in most of the cultures, apart from the use that we say hunting and other for security and other things, in most of the cultures, when you are called a dog, it's an insult. Because we degrade it. But a woman entered the paradise because of a dog. What did she do? Said she was walking in a wilderness where there's no water, and she found a dog wallowing the tongue out of intense death, to the point of death. When she noticed that, she saw a pool of water, and she used her shoes to collect water and place it in front of the dog. And the dog drank to satisfaction and began wagging its tail in thankfulness. And that kind act alone was enough to make her enter. Another man was entered the hell because of a cat. held the cat, tied up, did not allow the cat to go around and pick piece of food, nor did he also give the cat food until the cat died. And that was the reason for the person to enter hell. And so if even treating animals,
how much more
human
beings?
Yeah, so I'm worried in any place of the world wherein there's conflict. It doesn't matter, it's Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Palestine, and now Israel, Palestine, and Iran.
Baku.
And Baku here. Yeah. And which other place do we say that there is currently? And all these have got impact, geographical.
Yeah, economic impact and all
impact and so on and so forth on us. And so if it's my wish, we should not be seeing such conflicts. Conflict is natural, it can happen. But violent approach to dealing with the conflicts is something which we must all abhor. And that inspires me very well in the work that I do. I feel excited that I'm serving on the governing board of the National Peace Council. I feel excited about it, that when our country is breaking up because of conflict, if I'm one of those to be invited and I have a word or two to say to calm down nerves and to ensure we reconcile, for me, it's a greater service that if my presence alone will do the trick. The Chief Imam has been doing so a lot. Yeah, sometimes the state will invite him. He's traveled to Hohoi, traveled to Kumasi Tafo.
Yeah.
When there's tension, invite him. Sometimes the Chief Imam speaks less. He doesn't speak much.
I'll find out why he does that, but we're going to continue the conversation. Yeah. Those of us watching on TV right now, would like to say a big thank you to you for being a part of our morning here on Prime Morning. And the conversations will continue. We'll come back and then we'll also let you feel, exactly what this conversation will end up with myself and the spokesperson for the Chief Imam. So do enjoy your morning, and thanks for watching Prime Morning here on Joy Prime. My name is KMJ, and God willing, tomorrow we're back again here at 6 a.m. Make sure you're part of our conversation tomorrow, and don't forget to do good and communicate. Please take care of yourself and each other.